Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
So today topic is testing the muscles of trunk. It is a practical lecture, but I will try to make you understand through online lecture. So the muscle grades are of trace, poor, fair, good, normal. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here we will be discussing in the trunk muscle testing. So you will be discussing 4 points. First is we will be discussing about the position of the patient. Second is position of therapist and how you will perform the test and what instruction you will give to the patient. So we will be discussing these 4 points in each and every grades. First is grade 5 and 4 test for the spine extension are different for lumbar and thoracic spine. You try to understand these 2 points. Grade 4 and grade 5 test for spine extension. You know spine extension, cervical extension, thoracic extension, lumbar extension. Clear? I am talking about the range of motion. Cervical extension range, thoracic range, lumbar extension movement. Clear? So for the thoracic extension, see the grade 5 and grade 4 test for spine extension are different for the lumbar spine and thoracic spine. So grade 4 and grade 5 of thoracic extension testing is different. Grade 4 and grade 5 of lumbar extension testing is different. Clear? For only grade 4 and grade 5. I'll explain you. You just try to understand. Grade 4, grade 5 of thoracic extension and lumbar extension are different. Clear? But from grade 3, that is 3, 2, 1, these grades, the testing position is same for lumbar and thoracic. I think you understood what I want to say. The position is same for lumbar and thoracic for grade 3, 2 and 1. But the position is different for grade 4 and 5 for thoracic and lumbar. It is different. I think you understood. Grade 5, 4 test for spine extension, that is, are different for lumbar extension and lumbar spine and thoracic spine. But grade 3, the test for both levels are combined. Now first we will discuss the lumbar spine. Lumbar spine. Position of patient is, I have told we will be discussing 4 points. We will discuss position of patient, position of therapist, how we will perform the test and what instructions we will give to the patient. First is lumbar spine. Position of the patient. So instead of going through this, you see the slide first. Image first. This is lumbar spine. Lumbar spine position. Clear? Position of the patient and position of therapist. You see what is the position. You just observe, then we will go back. Okay. Position of the patient. Prone lying with hands clasped behind the head. Position of the patient is prone lying with hands clasped behind the head. That is the position of the patient. Hands clasped at the back of the head. Position of therapist. Clear? Standing so as to stabilize the lower extremity just above the ankle. So you have to stabilize the ankle. Clear? So this is the position of the therapist. Clear? So he is stabilizing the ankle joint. When this position should be is preferable when the patient has hip strength normal. Again, listen carefully. The position of therapist is he will stand near the patient by the side of the couch and stabilize the lower extremity just above the ankle if the hip strength is normal. That is hip extensor muscle, gluteus maximus muscle. If hip extensor muscle strength is normal, then he will stabilize the ankle. Clear? So now, what is the alternate position? Alternate position, that is, if the hip extension is weak, what I have told, this position is preferred when hip extensor strength is normal. I am talking about therapist position. He will stabilize the ankle if hip extensors are normal. So what is alternate position if hip extensor is weak? If hip extensor is weak, so this is the alternate position for therapist. Clear? Now he is stabilizing the pelvis. Clear? Because you know the gluteus maximus muscle is the base for the spine extension. Hip extensor muscle is the base. So hip extensor muscle should be strong. Hip extensor muscle should be strong when you are checking the spine extensors. So if hip extensors are normal strength, this position is preferred. That is, stabilizing the ankle is enough. If hip extensors are weak, then this position is preferred. I think you are clear what I'm saying. So we have discussed two positions. Again, I'll come back. You are checking the muscle power for lumbar spine. What I have told, the lumbar spine and lumbar thoracic spine and lumbar spine, the position is different. Now we are studying the lumbar spine now. Now we are studying lumbar spine. Clear? Here we are discussing 1, 2, and 3, 4 points. That is position of patient, position of therapist, testing position and instruction. Test and instructions. We are discussing for lumbar spine. We are discussing for lumbar spine now. Okay. Position of patient, prone with hands clasped. Position of therapist, standing so as to stabilize the lower extremities. just above the ankle if the patient has a normal strength. And position of this is normal strength. If hip extension is weak, then therapist stabilize the lower extremities using body weight, his own body weight, and both arms placed across the pelvis if the patient has hip extension weakness. Clear? So remember, it will be very difficult for the therapist to stabilize the pelvis if there is a significant hip weakness. If the hip muscles are very weak, if the hip extensor muscles are significantly weak, then stabilizing the pelvis will be very difficult for the therapist. Clear? So this is about position. We have discussed 2 points. First is position of patient, position of therapist. And we have discussed alternate position. Now test. Third point. Patient extends the lumbar spine until entire thorax is raised from the table. So patient has to do the lumbar spine extension until the entire thorax is raised from the table. Extension should be done at the lumbar spine until the entire thorax is raised from the table. That is, he has to clear the umbilicus. This umbilicus should be raised from the table. This is the test. And what is the instruction you are giving? Raise your head, shoulder and chest off the table and come as high as you can. जितना ऊपर आ सकता है आप पेशेंट ऊपर आना चाहिए. Clear? He has to raise the head, shoulder and chest off the table until he clears the umbilicus. This is the instruction you will give to the patient. We are talking about, don't forget, we are talking about the lumbar spine. I have told 4 and 5 for lumbar spine and 4 and 5 for thoracic spine. Position is different. Now we are studying lumbar spine 4 and 5. So what is grade 4 and what is grade 5? Lumbar extensor. What is grade 4 and what is grade 5? So by the nature of response, what instruction you had given to the patient? You had given instruction to the patient that he has to raise the head, shoulder, chest off the table and come up as high as you can. This is the instruction you had given. Now you see the response. You see the response of the patient. According to the response, you will grade the muscle. What is the response? First response you see. The examiner distinguishes between grade 5 and grade 4 by the nature of the response of patient. So what is grade 5? When you will call patient is having grade 5 and when you will call then patient is having grade 4. Grade 5. Muscle holds like a lock. Matlab he will raise the head, shoulder and chest and he will lock in the position. He will lock in the position. Yeah. Back extensor muscle can quickly come. He will achieve the position very quickly and he will come to the end position and he can hold the position without any effort. मतलब बहुत आसान से ऊपर करेगा वो and hold करके रखेगा position को. He will hold the position very easily without any significant effort. Then you will call the grade is 5. What is grade 4 then? Sorry. What is grade 4? Muscle yields slightly because of an elastic quality at the end point. Now, the back extensor can come to the end position, but he cannot hold. He cannot hold the position, or he may wave, or he may give some effort to maintain the position. Then you will grade the muscle as 4. Are you clear? Anyone, yes or no?
Sir, repeat it.
First is position of patient, position of therapist, and test, and what is last? You will ask any instruction. And you have to study all these 4 points. First, we will study on lumbar spine. Clear? Lumbar spine 4 and 5 position is same. Clear? And what is the position of patient? He should stabilize the ankle. Sorry. Position of the patient is he will prone lying, head clasped behind the head. Sorry, hand clasped behind the head. Clear? That is what I had shown here, this position. Clear? If hip extensor is strong, you will select this position. If hip extensor is weak, you will select this position. Clear? This is about position of therapist. Position of patient, you see, both are same. Position of patient with strong extensor and weak extensor. Both the situation, position of patient is same. But position of therapist is different. Clear? See this diagram and this diagram. This is the position of the therapist. And what instruction you will give? You will instruct the patient to raise from the table, clear, as much as he can possible. Clear? If he can hold the position, then it is 5. If he cannot hold the position, then muscle power is 4. Simple. Clear? Grade 5 is normal and grade 4 is good. Clear? What is grade 4? When you will tell patient is having grade 4, when he cannot hold or he may require some effort to hold the position, then it is 4 grade. If he cannot, or if he can do very quickly, and if he can hold the position and without any significant effort, then you will grade muscle power 5. Clear? So now, thoracic spine. So what I have told, the lumbar spine and thoracic spine, 4 and 5 position is different. 4 and 5 position is different. Clear? Now coming to thoracic spine. Four and 5. So what is position of patient? Now you see the image first. This is the position of patient. Clear? The head, shoulder and chest is off the couch. Is off the couch. So it is not on the couch, it is off the couch. Clear? So this is the position of the patient. Starting position. Clear? Now you read this. Now we are studying thoracic spine 4 and 5. Muscle testing. Position of patient prone with head upper trunk extending off the table from about the nipple line. The body should be out from the couch. Position of the therapist. Standing so as to stabilize the lower limb at ankle. Clear? And what is the test? Patient will extend the thoracic spine to the horizontal position. Horizontal position means up to the couch level. Up to the couch level. So he will start. You instruct the patient to raise the head and shoulder horizontally. Raise your head, shoulder, and chest to the table level. This is the instruction you will give to the patient. Remember, you are now testing the thoracic spine. Now, what is grade 5? How you will grade the muscle? As I have already discussed, with the response of the patient. By the response of the patient, you will grade whether the patient is having muscle power 4 or 5. So if patient is able to raise the upper trunk quickly from its forward flexed position to the horizontal with ease and no significant effort. Already we discussed the same point. Here already we discussed same point, but the position of the patient is different in lumbar spine. In thoracic spine, the position is different. Here. And what is grade? This is, see, up to the level of the table. So if he is raising without quickly, that is quickly, with ease and without any exertion. If he does quickly and if he does the movement without any significant exertion, then you will grade 5 for thoracic spine. Okay, now this is grade 5 if he does quickly. And what is grade 4? Patient is able to raise the trunk to horizontal level, but does it somewhat laboriously, that is with difficulty. If he is doing with difficulty, then you will grade 4 for the thoracic spine. Any doubt? Yes or no? Any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
So now, what in first slide we discussed? In first slide we discussed from grade 3, tests for both levels are combined. That is for lumbar and thoracic. Both levels are combined. That is position of the patient is same for 1, 2 and 3. Position of patient is same for 1, 2 and 3. When you are evaluating the thoracic spine and lumbar spine, grade 1, 2 and 3 position is same. But when you are evaluating 4 and 5, the test position is different for lumbar and thorax. I think you got it what I want to say. Clear? So now we are going to study grade 1, 2, 3. We have discussed grade 5 and grade 4. Separately we discussed. For lumbar spine and thoracic spine, separately we discussed. Now we are going to discuss grade 1, 2, 3 together. How you will check the muscle power 1, 2, 3, we will be discussing together for both the lumbar spine and thoracic spine. Grade 3 for lumbar and thoracic spine. Again, we will discuss 4 points. So we discussed lumbar spine 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 points. We discussed thoracic spine 1, 2, 3, 4. Position of patient, position of therapist, test, instruction. Clear? We discussed thoracic spine and lumbar spine separately. Now we are going to discuss thoracic and lumbar grade 3 together. 4 points we will discuss. Position of patient, position of therapist, test, and instruction. Position of patient. Now you first see the position. Clear? This is the position of the patient. This is position of therapist. First you see the image, we will discuss. Observe the image. This is for 3, lumbar and thoracic. One second. Okay. Position of patient. Prone with arms at the side. This is the difference. Okay. Listen carefully here. The position of patient, what is the difference in position? When you see the first position, you see the all the previous position. Here, all the previous position you see, sorry. All the previous position you see, the heads are, sorry, the hands are behind the head. Hands are behind the head. Hands are behind the head. For 4 and 5. But for 3, see the hands are by the side. This is the main difference. It is not behind here, it is by the side of the trunk. Patient position is prone with arms at side. What is the position of therapist? Standing at the side of the table and lower extremities are stabilized just above the ankle. That is okay. Yes. And what is the test? Patient extends the spine, raising body from the table so that umbilicus clears the table. Clear? And this is the instruction you have to give. Clear? Raise your head, chest from the table as high as you can. Okay. Now, how you will grade? Again, I have told, by the response from the patient, you will decide what is the grade. So, grade 3 See, remember, this is, you are checking both lumbar and thoracic. Here it is not separate. You are checking both the lumbar spine and thoracic spine simultaneously. That you have to make it clear. 4, 5 you will test separately. But 3 to 1, there is no separate position for lumbar and thoracic. It is combined. You are checking both the levels. Just this you keep in mind. So what is 3? What instruction you are given? You are given instruction to raise the head, arms and chest from the table as he can do it. This is the instruction. Clear? Raise the body so that umbilicus clears the table. This is the instruction and test you have given to the patient. Now you will grade. If he can complete the range, if he completes the full range, then it is 3. What is grade 2, 1 and 0? This is the position. Now you see he is completely lying on the table. Completely lying on the table. You see this diagram, this much body is out of the table. This is for 3. Position for 3. For position for 2, 1 and 0, you see what is the position of patient? He is lying completely on the table. Are you clear? So, the examiner must palpate the lumbar and thoracic spinal extensor muscle mass adjacent to both sides of the spine. Clear? If this is spine, then you know the muscles, paraspinal muscles, it passes on either side of the vertebra. Clear? This is posterior view. Clear? So he has to palpate the muscle. The examiner must palpate the lumbar and thoracic spine extensor muscle masses adjacent to both sides of the spine. So here you cannot isolate the muscle. Okay. You know the if you would have studied the anatomy of the back muscles, spinal extensor muscles, so there are global muscles and local muscles. Yes. Some muscles, few muscle it crosses 1 or 2 vertebrae, and few muscle it crosses throughout the spine. Yes. So it is difficult for you to isolate the muscle, whether it is thoracic extensor or it is lumbar extensor. Yes. So individually you cannot isolate it. Yes, but you can isolate together. So you can palpate together. Yes. Grade 2. If patient completes partial range of motion, then what instruction you have given? The instruction is same. You have given instruction to raise the body. Here, head, shoulder and chest as much as possible. If patient completes partial range of motion, he is not doing full range of spinal extension, then you will give muscle power 2. So if you feel the muscle contracting, or if you can palpate the muscle contraction, palpable contraction is present when patient is trying to do the extension movement, then you will grade 1. And if the muscles are completely paralyzed, and when patient is trying to lift the body, if you cannot feel any contraction, then you will grade 0. Any doubt till here?
No, sir.
Once you go through, after completion of the class, once you go through these slides again, you recollect what I have said now. If you have any doubt, you can ask me later. So I'll give some helpful hints. Listen now, I will discuss only 4 or 5 points. First, you have to perform strength, or first you have to test the strength of cervical extension and hip extension. Strength of hip extension muscles, that is gluteus maximus, and cervical extension, you have to test, do the strength test for these two area or region. Then only you have to proceed for trunk extension. Yes. That is, before testing the lumbar spinal extension strength and thoracic spinal extension strength, first you have to check hip extensor strength and cervical extensor strength. This is first point you should remember. There is a relation. I will let you know. So now you listen carefully. If spinal extensor is weak, if spinal extensor is weak and hip extensors are strong, I think you understood from this symbol. Hip extensor is stronger, spinal extensor is weak. What I have told already, hip extensor is the base. In the beginning I have told somewhere. Yes. Hip extensor is, so this is the position. Why the alternate position you have selected? Because hip muscle is weak here. That is why you are stabilizing the pelvis. Yes. So there is a, why? Because gluteus maximus muscle is the base for lumbar and thoracic extension. Gluteus muscle should be stabilized properly. So how we normally, if the hip muscles are strong, then automatically it will be stabilized. Clear? If hip muscle is strong, clear, the pelvis will be stabilized by itself. By the contraction of the gluteus maximus, it will be stabilized. Clear? During spinal extension. Clear? So that is what we are going to discuss now. What will happen if the gluteus, so what we have discussed here? Hip extensor is normal. Hip extensor is normal or strong. First position. So what you can observe? If hip extensors are strong, then what you will observe during the test? Patient will be unable to raise the upper trunk from the table. I have given condition if hip extensors are strong and spine extensors are weak. What he will do? See, patient will be unable to raise the upper trunk from the table. Why he cannot raise? Because his extensors are weak. Simple. Patient will be unable to raise the upper trunk from the table when hip extensors are weak. Sorry, spine extensors are weak. But at the same time, hip extensors are strong. So instead, what will happen along with this? What will happen? Pelvis will tilt posteriorly while the lumbar spine moves into flexion. Listen carefully. Pelvis will tilt posteriorly. Why the pelvis is tilting posteriorly? Pelvis will tilt posteriorly. First I will explain first point. Why the pelvis will tilt posteriorly? One second. I'll take the image. I'll take this image and I'll explain it. One second. If what condition we have taken? We have taken the condition hip extensor is strong and spine extensors are weak. This is the condition we have taken. What will happen? First point is pelvis will tilt posteriorly. Yes. Why pelvis is tilting posteriorly? Because you know this is gluteus maximus. Yes, gluteus maximus. The gluteus maximus will contract in this direction. Gluteus maximus will contract in this direction and the pelvis will be tilted. That is here insertion is fixed. Clear? You know this is insertion. This is insertion and here is the origin. Clear? So here the insertion is fixed. If insertion is fixed and when the muscle is contracting, that is hip extensor muscle is, if it is contracting, then the action of the muscle will be in this direction. Clear? This is femur and this is pelvis and this is gluteus muscle. Clear? So here femur is fixed, because you are fixed. Femur is fixed. So what will happen if the muscle is contracting? Because gluteus maximus muscle is strong. That is the condition we have taken. If gluteus muscle is strong, then muscle will lift the pelvis in this direction. That is, pelvis will go up like this. Clear? So what is this actually? This is called posterior tilt of pelvis. Did you understood? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then, what is next we discuss? In the hints. Now you listen this. Read this sentence. Patient will unable to raise the upper trunk. That is first point. He cannot raise the upper trunk. That is first point. Instead, pelvis will tilt posteriorly. Why? Because gluteus maximus is strong. Pelvis will tilt posteriorly. At the same time, lumbar spine moves into flexion. Lumbar spine will move into flexion. So this is first point. Now I am removing this. First point, you know that pelvis is tilting posteriorly. Second point is, you know the lumbar lordosis. What is lumbar lordosis? Lumbar lordosis is like this. And the patient will have normal lumbar lordosis when he is lying flat. Clear? When he tries to lift the body up, what will happen? Lumbar spine will go into flexion and the curve will be flattened. Yes. First is, if you imagine this is pelvis or this is pelvis. Pelvis will tilt posteriorly and lumbar spine will go into flexion. And it will be flat. Now, you cannot, the lordosis now will be obliterated. When the patient is trying to lift the body, here, you know why? Because the muscle is weak. Which muscle? The lumbar extensor muscles are weak. It cannot lift the spine. So instead it will go down. That is called flexion movement. Flexion of lumbar spine will occur and posterior tilt of pelvis will occur. So this will happen when, this is the condition, when spinal extensor are weak and hip extensor are strong. Clear? Pelvis will tilt posteriorly, the lumbar spine will move into flexion. Why? Because lumbar flexion is, why the lumbar is going in flexion? Because spinal extensor is weak. Why the pelvis is tilting posteriorly? Because gluteus maximus is strong. Now this is first point. Second point, what will happen if it is reversed? Now hip extensor is weak and spinal extensors are strong. Patient now can hyperextend the lower back. See here what happened to the lordosis, it is increased. Clear? Previously what happened? When the spinal extensors are weak, the lumbar spine is going into flexion. When the lumbar spine is going into flexion, the flat curves become flat. But now, what will happen? This is normal lumbar lordosis at when the patient is lying straight. When he is trying to lift the body or when he is trying to do the lift the head, shoulder and chest, now what will happen? Now the lordosis will be exaggerated. This is called hyperextension. Hyperextension of lumbar spine. So this will happen when the spinal extensors are strong. Unable to raise the trunk without very strong stabilization of the pelvis. So what is required? If you stabilize the pelvis, then he can able to lift the spine. So strong stabilization by physiotherapist here is required. Then only he can able to raise the trunk. Clear? Last point. I think this is last slide. Okay. Why you are keeping these hands behind the head in grade 5 and grade 4? Now, in the beginning we have discussed, here in 5 and 4, the hand is placed behind the head to test 5, 4. Clear? And other test, we studied that is 3. Muscle power 3, 1, 2, 3, hand is not placed behind the head, it is placed by the side. Why? What is the reason? The position of arms clasped behind the head, it provides added resistance. You know, in grade 4 and 5, what is grade 4? What is grade 4? Grade 4 is submaximal resistance. The grade 4, we already know that full range of motion against gravity with submaximal resistance. That is 4. What is 5? Full range of motion against gravity with maximal resistance. So where the resistance came? Yes. So we have not applied any resistance. So the resistance is provided by the arm behind the head. Yes. When the arm is placed behind the head, what happens? Weight of the head and arm, it provides resistance. Weight of the head and arm substitutes the manual resistance by examiner. So here we are not giving any resistance to the patient in 4 and 5. Instead, the position itself gives resistance. How it gives resistance? By adding the weight of the head and weight of the arm, it substitutes the manual resistance which should be provided by the examiner. Are you clear? Why you are keeping the hand behind the head? And why you are not keeping hand behind the head in 3? 1, 2, 3. Why you are not keeping? Because we know that in all these 3 grades, we don't give any resistance. We don't give any resistance. That is why you are keeping the hand by the side. Okay. Last point, slide. If the patient is completely paraplegic, what is paraplegic? Both the lower limb are paralyzed. Both the lower limbs are paralyzed. Gluteus muscle is also paralyzed. Yeah. Gluteus, that is hip extensors are paralyzed. Completely lower limb is paralyzed. So how you will test the lumbar and thoracic extensors? So here the position is changed. Position of the patient is changed. Position of the subject, that is patient, with both legs and pelvis off the mat. Here. So what is mat table? This is mat table. This is called mat table. So you will use this table to evaluate the spinal extensor for paraplegic patient. Yes. For paraplegic patient, you will use this table. So patient is lying, patient is sitting here, patient is sitting here. Clear? You can keep the lower limb like this, and so this will be the position of the patient. Clear? And now from this position you ask the patient to extend the spine. Position the subject's both legs and pelvis off the mat. Off the mat means this is off the mat. Clear? Position the patient's leg and pelvis off the mat. This position allows pelvis and limb to contribute the stabilization. Examiner holding the lower trunk has the chance to provide necessary support. So this is the way you have to check the extensor strength in paraplegic patient. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Are you checking the videos after a class? Hello.